All right. Peace and Black Power family. You already know what it is. You know what I mean? We in the building. We just got finished having another debate. We had another after party, and the debate was with Anon versus Lucky. You know, shout out to both of them. Let's see. The debate topic was. Give me 1 second. I want to make sure I'm phrasing this correctly. Is the United States a state-sponsored capitalistic economy? Right. That was the debate topic. The link is currently out there right now, family. So anybody want to come up and discuss this? For people wondering, Lucky came away with the win. He was the affirmative. Congratulations to Lucky. And shout out to Anon for making a tough debate out of this. You know, it wasn't a blowout or nothing. To see the chat gave it to Lucky. I believe I think it was 60 votes, and he got 78% of the vote. And then let's see, Angel had her vote going towards Lucky, and Brendan's vote went towards Anon. So Lucky won a split decision. Let's see, we got Angel up here. What's going on, Angel? How you?
I'm good, Psycho. I'm just here. I'm just listening. Go ahead. You can continue.
Yeah, I was just letting people know, for the people that didn't know what happened and everything. I don't have a opinion about the debate per se. I gotta go back and listen to the whole thing. It was a lot of rhetoric out there being tossed around. I got some understanding of what they was talking about. You know, I got layman's understanding of what they was talking about. So I was able to somewhat keep up. Then I got a little confused in certain parts of the debate on whether or not they actually was debating the same thing. So I was kind of struggling at certain points to figure out whether or not they actually was making the same points. But again, I'm not judging, so my opinion don't count. But yeah, it seemed like Lucky could I missed some of the scores. I missed with how you scored the rapid fire. I heard how you said Brendan scored it. I missed how you said you scored it. How'd you score the rapid fire?
The rapid fire. Let me see. I'm sorry, 1, 2, because I don't have the form up. I just have the paper here.
Okay, no, it's not that deep.
Lucky's rapid fire was a 8 from me. I think it. Forgive me if I'm reading this backwards. It was an 8 from me, and a 7 from Brendan. And Anon's rapid fire was a 7 from me and an 8 from Brendan.
Okay. All right. So they was both close. Yeah. Yeah. I was wondering how the rap fight is going to go, how y'all was going to grade that. It was interesting. They both was making points, but again, at certain points I was confused whether or not they was arguing the same thing, because it seemed like both of them at certain times was making the other person's point. Both at certain points, so it was that part was hard to keep up with.
Yeah, I don't believe they were arguing the same thing at all. That's actually uh that wasn't the issue. The issue more was Anon was framing Lucky's argument as control. And if you read the topic again, Lucky was talking about the government sponsors the economy to run the way it does. They have a hand in control, and I'm going to use the word controlling. They have a hand in funding, having some levels of control with private companies. But the way he kept framing it was it's a partnership. He even said that in his pre-debate premise. But Anon came out from the beginning from his open. So remember, all you have to go by is your opponent's pre-debate premise. So it's not like Anon started talking about what his opponent has to do in the rebuttal. He started talking about what his opponent has to do in his open. And in Anon's open, he said that his opponent has to talk about a state, controlled government. And at no point was Lucky talking about a state-controlled government. Anon even used examples like China having complete control over the banking system, complete control over companies and things like that. And that was not Lucky's argument. So that is more what the issue was. I'm hoping some debaters would come up. I'm going to be nice. I would love anybody that is like making statements about how this was so wrong to come up and articulate how it was so wrong. Because it's easy to say in the chat how wrong it was. And I'm not necessarily talking about here or there chat. But if somebody wants to come up and articulate what the issues was, we can maybe get to the bottom of it. That's what we're here for with the after party. And I really hate when it's like down. I know that it's not a good thing to lose a debate. I even feel the energy like this is, it's not a good feeling to know that somebody put all that they put into that. Like you could see Anon put everything into that and it was amazing. He did a great job, but it just became clear that Lucky was not arguing what Anon said he had to prove. That's all. So.
Yeah. Nobody hit the link yet. All right. Y'all know how I do. I got a few more minutes. Psycho ain't gonna be here all night. Y'all sitting back saying, yeah, I'll come up in an hour. I will come up and I ain't here. Don't wonder why. Psycho will I will catch up on sleep. Yes, I will. So y'all got a few more minutes. Just letting y'all know. I'm only here so I don't get fined. Okay, here we go. All right. Blue, what up?
Yo, what's good? What's good?
What's your
Yeah,
honest thoughts, Blue? Were you paying it? Were you in there the whole time? I'm
yeah,
curious to see what your honest thoughts were.
yeah. I thought it was a little bit. I could see why Psycho was saying it was a little bit confusing in the beginning, uh, and partially that was because of I think he was kind of stating how it was being framed, um, and it was getting murky between the sponsorship and the control. And I think it started becoming clear like rapid fire, and then I think Lucky's first question kind of put him in a good path. It got a little bit dicey for him though towards the end of his rapid fire when he pulled with the way he pulled the definition. He should have just read the sponsorship definition, um, and then but I think he was already in a good place by the time he got to Anon's rapid fire to where it was just kind of it was he kind of was able to kind of defuse all every question. It felt like um, so I could see how Lucky would have won. Um, I I could have seen it going either way. I wasn't sure if Lucky did enough in a rapid fire, depending on with how Anon started. Because I felt like in the beginning, Anon's premise is just more clear. You know what I mean? It's a lot more finite. I got what Lucky was trying to do, which he was more so arguing the function as opposed to the definition. Um, so he was and it's just a little bit tough to get there. Um, but that's what made his premise murky, is because he got to do a lot of explaining. He got to show. His thing is showing how it's functioning, and then once it got into the like I said, like the rapid fire, I think he was able to make his points more clear. And then the sponsorship versus the control, I think that was the clear separation. Um, but yeah, and overall, I didn't know how it was gonna go. I did. I felt like it was gonna be a tough one though.
Yeah. I mean, I like to do, I see both the debaters are up here. This is just for the sake of the audience and the other debaters. I just want to share just a little bit because this is brief. I'm not going to get into the sources, but this is kind of what it was for me. And I'm glad you're up here, Anon. you know, when you said what Lucky had to prove in his argument, when I look at Lucky's premise, I'm just going to read his pre-debate premise said, and this is before the debate. He said the United States doesn't actually operate like a true free market economy. What we have is a form of state-sponsored capitalism held together by a permanent administrative system where real economic power sits inside long-standing institutions, not just elected officials. As Mariana Mazzucato shows in The Entrepreneurial State, this was an article written by her, the government consistently takes on the biggest risks, especially when it comes to innovation, while private companies step in later and take most of the profit. That creates what's basically a built-in imbalance. Risk gets socialized, rewards get privatized, and this isn't random, it's structured. Then he continues to say, the Council on Foreign Relations even described the US government as acting like an investor, a broker, and sometimes a backstop inside the market itself, not just a referee. On top of that, research from the Roosevelt Institute shows that modern policies like industrial policy aren't hands-off at all. They're run through centralized agencies that actively steer where money goes and how industries develop. And then he said, the key point is this system doesn't reset every election. It continues. It's sustained by a permanent administrative layer that keeps capital flowing, markets stable, and strategic industries supported no matter who's in office. So when you really look at it, the US economy isn't just private enterprise doing its own thing. He ends by saying this. It's a hybrid system where private ownership exists on the surface, but underneath, the state is constantly shaping, funding, and directing how the market actually works. So
that's the part that I don't feel he did. I just don't feel like he proved that, right?
Well,
He doesn't even know the
I
he
just want
doesn't
to
even
make the
know the
final
numbers.
point. What you said that he had to prove in the open, though, was state controlled,
Well,
right?
that's what he just explained. If you're saying that behind the scenes you're doing all of those things, then you effectively control the economy.
That's what you got
Like
from
there's
that?
no okay. Read the last part again.
Yeah,
What do
well,
you
I
like?
would
Yeah.
have to read all of it because he talks about it's a
Well,
partnership. And then he talked about that,
okay,
and he
but
framed his argument that way as
yeah,
well.
but all a lot of that is not a lot of that is like now we're talking about new framing of how we define state-sponsored capitalism, right? So the other concern is like how we go about setting some of these debates, right? So if I'm knowing coming in that he's arguing from this new um, argument that's on the table that has not even been established yet as a true definition for state-sponsored capitalism, by the way, then we probably don't have the debate, right? And that's why I keep trying to ask people certain things. Now it's water under the bridge. It is what it is, right? But like, if we go, I'm not going to come into the argument now and then argue the same thing.
So I just wanna go ahead and put all this on the record, right? And I'm even willing to share my little screen real quick. So this was one of the this topic that we took was actually from the first rumble when Psycho said bring out a premise. This was one of the ones I brought out that I said
I know,
I would be
and I
willing to
kept,
take a debate
and
on,
this
and
was one of the main ones. But if
we
you
argued
notice,
that night, right? Because I
we didn't.
told you
I
that
kept
night.
asking you questions. But I
Nah,
kept
but that
asking you.
night
Hold on.
I was laughing.
Now
Hold
you.
up, but let me
But
finish what I'm
even
saying.
that night. But
I
even
didn't
that
cut you
night.
off, bro. Let me finish what I'm saying. So that night we had a whole bunch of back and forth, and I was telling you then when you was trying to get in the word sponsored, right? I was telling you it doesn't matter if you use sponsored or controlled. It's all in the textbook definition of state capitalism. That's what I said to you back then. That's why I didn't mind you putting sponsor in it. Cause I'm like, bro, state capitalism encapsulates sponsorship at like so you can put it in there if you want it. Like, you know what I'm saying? You made it about
Yeah, but
sponsorship. And
so
then when we get into it, you don't even talk about
you're not
sponsorship.
hearing my point. You're not hearing my point though. Sponsorship, non-sponsorship don't matter, right? When I'm trying to ask you questions about what your actual premise is or what your thought process is, that's the point that you say, I'm using this definition or this concept, right? But instead you use Brenner's definition, right? So if we want to talk about what didn't really get exposed, you didn't argue from a Trotsky perspective, right? Um, so like I said, the
But that's why I said
conversation
that was
from
draconian,
my
bro. Because
perspective,
I didn't bring him
once
up.
but one
I never was
no, I
Trotsky.
get I get it. What I'm well, you are if you're arguing Brenner, just like you like to connect the dots, right? So, but hold on, the point that I'm making is this: like, good win. I ain't taking nothing away from the win, right? But I'm not the person that's gonna come to the debate and argue the same point, right? Once I got your premise, it was clear that we technically had the same ideology on what state capitalism would have been. So now I have to make the other argument. So that's why I came out strong, framing the way I framed it the way I had to frame it for the entire debate. That's why I didn't let you. I'm gonna keep it a buck. That's why I didn't even let you finish the Britannica definition, because once you get into regulation and taxation, now we start to have a, you know what I'm saying, like it's a whole different conversation. Um, I do think though, I think I did enough in the rapid fire, right? That is an issue I got, and then it's just frustrating to know I outscored you. And I get what you're saying, Angel. Like, okay, outscoring not, but this was something I said to you even before the season started. How I feel about that third vote, right? It just is what it is. Um, I feel like if we got two judges, like they capable enough to get it done.
Yeah, but I don't agree with
Um,
the scoring of the other judge. Like he giving you a 10 on the round that I'm feeling like I'm scoring and I'm having way more action than you. You know what I'm saying? So that's
what round he gave me a 10 in? Look.
he gave you a 10 on the premise, and I got a 7.
Yeah,
You see what I'm saying? That's what created that big
but
old gap.
we're not, hold on, we're not competing against each other though. Like your premise is your premise, my premise. It's not like they go
Man, when
back
I'm
and say,
listening
oh,
to the
it's the 10
notes, when
7
I'm
round.
listening to the notes, I'm having discrepancies, just like you having discrepancies right now. You see what I'm saying?
He
Yeah,
gave you an 8, Lucky.
my discrepancy, my discrepancy is with people um who ain't a part of this. That's what I'm saying, right? And that's been my discrepancy. And I'm consistent with my shit. That's what I'm saying. Um,
Oh, okay, okay. All right.
be- yeah, right. So, um, let's say a great debate, just a level of frustration to actually do enough to win and then still not win, right? Because it was an extremely uphill battle once you get the brother premise and you understand what he's arguing. And so, yeah, you gotta come in and argue, the way that I argued, just what it come down to. You say, nigga, the chat is a part of this. The fuck you think? Yeah, but y'all don't vote. Y'all niggas don't vote. Who's it? Cellular. Y'all niggas don't vote according to what you heard, right? You vote according to how you feel. This is why the chat was conceivably always consistently the people's vote, right? It is what it is, though.
Yeah, Brendan, I did correct it. I
My,
don't know if anybody heard me that Lucky Brendan gave you an 8, not a 7 in your premise.
Oh, it must have been a rebuttal then. I know one of the rounds I got a 7.
Yeah.
I got a 7 too, bro.
Nah, I know, but when you feel like you just be trying to put your best foot forward, you be like, damn, a 7. Like last week, Loki, I was hurt about the 7, but then I had to take into account, you know what I'm saying, what y'all was saying about the size of the font. So I tried this time to come back with a different size font. So I'm
I
hoping
No,
would
it's
that
say,
definitely not
bro,
just
take it.
font. Yeah.
I would say put it onto a program. You should be able to download it and put it into like either your to a PowerPoint or a slide. That way it'll make it a little bit easier for you to go back and forth where everything ain't shown at once. Because it's like technically we can see two or three of your slides at one time.
nah, but if you go back and watch the debate, I got a PowerPoint, but I got like little documents that I be using, and I like to go to You know what I'm saying?
I
On
was
the fly
wondering
stuff.
what that was.
Sometimes I
Okay, so
pull
you
shit up on the
did.
fly.
Okay, okay, I see what you were doing.
Cause sometimes it'll come to me last minute and I'll just pull it up. Or I'll sit it in my strength and what I gotta say real quick. And so I'll just pull it up. But I got a PowerPoint. If you go back and look, I got a PowerPoint for sure.
Yeah, something just came to mind too that I don't think I got a chance to mention. Sometimes I plan on having like longer discussions, but then it kind of, we start looking at time and I don't want to hold this show up too long. But one of the things that I wanted to discuss was the rebuttal. You said you got a 7, Anon, in your rebuttal. That wouldn't have been from me. I gave you an 8, I believe. But with it being an 8, I can't recall everything without looking at my notes. But like, I'll just give an example. It was one thing like when you did a great job, like rebutting point for
Hey, can y'all
point.
hear me?
But yes, I hear you.
Check. Can y'all hear me talk? Okay,
Yes.
sorry. Go ahead. No, I didn't say rebuttal. I just said I got a 7 too. I got a 7 in a rapid fire state. I got a
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
7
the
right
okay.
now.
one. Yeah, I'm the one who said rebuttal.
I think in your rebuttal, Anon, you said something to the effect of Lucky was talking about we're heading towards state controlled. And you were like, so that in essence means you agree with me. And when we think about it, yeah, he did frame it like we're not there yet because that wasn't his argument. That's how I was seeing it. So it
Oh, but
became very
that's his argument though. How's that not his argument if he's saying it's a state?
no, listen to what
If
I'm
he's
saying.
saying
Listen to what I'm saying. When you said in your rebuttal that he mentioned that we're not state controlled, that we're heading there, you said that that was making your argument. Lucky is saying, no, I never said we were state controlled. I am saying we could be heading there. Where we are now is this behind the scenes partnership going on. I don't know if I'm articulating it properly,
no,
but
I hear you. I didn't
yeah,
say that, but I get why it reads like that, right? So for me, it's not
in
an
your
issue.
rebuttal, you didn't say it.
I, so what I said was he said we're moving towards state-sponsored capitalism because the literature. So if you understand the literature right now, the literature says that we are in a space where we are redefining what state capitalism, right? That's literally the argument. And so um, I made two different points. I said he mentioned control, but then I said he said we're moving towards state-sponsored capitalism because my argument or my rebuttal to that is that argument has not been flushed out yet. That argument has not been ironed out and solidified, right? The argument that is solidified is that state-sponsored capitalism looks more like China, right? So to say then, well, that's not what I'm talking about, and then I don't feel he did. I don't feel like he met the burden of proof to prove then or to reframe or to actually define really what it was, right?
Well, I
But
never said the word
in the,
control though. That's what I'm saying. Like you
okay,
superimpose
but
control onto my argument. The whole time I simply went with state sponsored. Meanwhile, the conversation was always about is this a state capitalism regime? You're the one who you lobbied to get sponsorship in it, and then you frame an argument as if I'm supposed to be on
sponsor
control.
sponsor sponsor doesn't
Right, but you
sponsor
frame an
doesn't
argument as if I gotta say
hold on, but
it's
sponsor
total
I'm
control.
it's my job to frame the argument however I want to frame it. Yes, that's how I framed it, right? And the reason I framed it like that because traditionally when this debate is happening, state sponsored is viewed as a form of control, right? And no matter how you slice it, it is like a form of control.
Yeah, but a
If you're
form
saying
of
that you're giving
control, though.
subsidy,
That
hold
that
on,
was the issue
that's
though you
his, but
had
that's
though
his.
when
This is his premise.
you thought, but this is what I'm
No, that's
saying
his
though.
premise. His
Yeah,
premise.
but he gave you the control. He told you that they fund them, that's what I'm saying. You wanted control in a certain way, that they control where you buy your
No,
supply. They can, but
it's
that
not.
ain't the
First off, it's
control.
not me.
That's
It's
one
not
framing
me.
of
I'm just
control.
telling you. I'm telling you the traditional. I'm telling you traditional argument, right? And so then now we get into
For
the argument about
capitalism,
regulation and taxation. No, it's not for state sponsored. Let me help you then. For state-sponsored capitalism, right now, for state-sponsored capitalism, there are two forms of state-sponsored capitalism. I want to say I even sent them one of the articles so they could see it, right? It's in one of the articles. It's in plenty of the articles that I read. There are two different forms of state capitalism right now on the table that are being debated, right? One of them is the regulation, the use of taxation, right? And the argument really stems around how the global economy is shifting. And so now massive governments have to do something, especially between the US and China. They have to fight in this way to keep up with each other, right? And so even when you say, oh, they got 15% stake in NVIDIA, that doesn't mean ownership though, right? Like they don't own, they don't control what NVIDIA does. They don't have control even in the US steel deal, right? It just doesn't work.
But they got the biggest. But if they're the biggest shareholder in, like, let's say the Intel deal, right? They're literally the largest shareholder.
Yeah.
So what does that mean for the governance? You
yeah,
asked
that
a
just
question
means
about the
that means
governance. Like, what does that
means
mean?
they're gonna profit. I mean, that means they're gonna
Man, but
profit,
about the
right?
governance.
So
But you asked
I
about
get
the
what you're saying.
governance, right? But all of that goes into the sponsorship conversation. You saying there's two different. I'm aware of at least four, but the conversation, of course, is fluid, right? That's why I
I'm
wanted
talking
to have
about
the
I'm talking about
conversation.
the two major arguments that are on the table. Me and you on the same page. I'm talking to Blue about this right now.
But I would argue that there's four. That's what I'm saying. What's the two that you saying?
Regulation and taxation, the point that you argued, and then basically state control, right? The form that you see through China. Those are the two major. The other two that are being spoken about are, if I'm being honest, like political science, rhetoric. They don't have enough teeth yet, right? But those two, like, so even when you read that Britannica, definition, it's two forms. Everything you see with like Dixon, Ilami, all of the major economists that are at the forefront of arguing this, what they're doing is they're using Sperber's work. Everything goes back to what Sperber said right now, right? So they're arguing off those 2 points that Sperber brought out, and they're flushing them out. Everything else is honestly just political cannon fodder.
Hey, I just wanted to add just a bit of a point for Lucky, because it's always great to see the debaters. When you see a score that you want to improve upon. But I will say this: I guess the lowest round that I scored, I guess the rebuttal for Lucky. I think this is the 7 that he was concerned about, and I mentioned this in my judge's notes, right? For your rebuttal, I would say just moving forward as just a recommendation. Provide more direct rebuttals, direct contentions in terms of your opponent's argument, as opposed to the continuation of your premise. Right? It was a couple minutes in your rebuttal that sounded like you were just kind of reiterating what you displayed in your premise. Even so much so, you had your premise presentation up, kind of scrolling through it, I guess you say reiterating some of those pieces. And for me, you'll lose points, right? You won't score as high doing such. So that's the reason why you saw a 7 on that rebuttal.
Okay, so let me ask you a question.
Yep.
So,
Mhm.
so the reason why I went to my one of my presentations for part of my rebuttal was because he made a claim about something that I didn't have, or that he claimed that I said, or something like that. And so in my rebuttal, I'm referencing what I've already presented, right? Because I didn't want to bring anything new out in the rebuttal. So I'm bringing out something that I already presented in the middle of my rebuttal to, like, a claim he made, and I already had it in my presentation. So I felt like it was no need for me to go try to get some outside source when I already had a presentation with this information in it. But if you saying that I can lose points for that, then I'm gonna figure
No,
out
it
different
was
way.
a big section of it, right? It wasn't like, okay, well, I'm gonna make a point, right? I think it was a big section of your rebuttal included the reiteration of it. And that's, and for me, when I'm looking for real high scores on that rebuttal, I'm looking for direct contention, directly addressing, right, your opponent's arguments, right? We're talking about dynamically, right? Things that they said real time in the debate, addressing those pieces in real time. And again, there was nothing wrong with your rebuttal, but that's just a recommendation, or for me, that's how you could have scored higher.
Okay.
If that kind of makes sense for you. Yep. But again, overall, great debate from both debaters. A great showing. I think is, again, right, these particular topics like this, right? Anon kind of mentioned this. This is stuff that's being debated currently inside of academic circles, right? This is something that's top of mind across the board. So, congrats on the topic. It was a great topic, and it was a good showing from both. Absolutely. And, in terms of your improvement from your last debate, I mentioned it, Lucky. It was a enormous improvement there. All right. I'm going to ask you a question in terms of I guess you would say like economic arguments. Is that somewhat your wheelhouse? It sounds like you've got some experience there, right? Your arguments was very well researched in that. Is that something that you really focus on in terms of topics?
Yeah, I'm a reform pseudo. So I used to be a conspiracy guy. So I did a lot of the governmental, conspiracy stuff. That's why I kind of put the framework on it, like using deep state.
I saw the deep state piece in there. I was like, okay, how far is it gonna go with it? But you didn't go too far, right? So yeah.
Right. Yeah, I'm reformed. You know what I'm saying? I'm reformed. I came a long way. So that's where
good argument.
But yeah, I kind of do like this kind of type of conversation. So yeah.
Right. You can tell. You can tell you've got some you've got your sea legs with this one. So congrats on the win.
Appreciate it.
All right, so anybody got anything to say? Nyame, we up here? You up here?
Yeah, peace and power, everybody.
Peace.
I enjoyed the debate. I thought it was a really good debate. I just had a question to the judges. Does difficulty of topic play a role?
I don't know, but can you clarify I don't know what you mean by that. Play a role.
Some debates are
are hard as fuck to have. Let's just
they're more in depth. They're more in depth. Right.
I couldn't hear everything you said just now. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. They're more in depth with the information, and compared, let's say it's a LeBron versus Jordan, which could be a good debate, but you can get all your statistics and you can go right into your statistics really easily, as opposed to something like this. State, we talking about state-sponsored capitalism, state-controlled economies. They're very difficult to debate, especially in a 10-minute premise. But I'll just ask you that question: Does the difficulty of the topic play a role?
I'm honestly not trying to be difficult, and Yame, I honestly am not sure what you're asking. Does it play a role in what? Because you're comparing it to a basketball debate. Like, what are you asking about this one? Okay, so it was in depth. They sent a lot of information, and we judged it. Are you talking about judges being able to judge it, or points are allocated?
No, not able to judge. let me see if I can say it more understandable. I'm going to go back to the basketball debate. Like, you can use statistics because they're readily available, and how you spit those statistics can sway a debate. But in this type of debate, it's hard to get statistics because it's more qualitative research than just numbers. Like you have to interview certain people in government, certain people in politics, certain people in economics. That's all I'm saying. Is there a varying degree? Like, okay, this debate wasn't that difficult to research, so I can understand where the debaters might have a more difficult time with this debate.
Yeah, I think I get what you're saying. Let me know if I don't answer this correctly. I apologize. I talk about it all the time where there is no code to crack. If somebody watches a string of debates and says they got tens because they showed stats, or they got tens because they did this one judge gave tens, if I just do this, I'm going to crack the code. That's virtually impossible. It doesn't matter what the topic is. These are two sets of different people debating. You have different judges that are looking at different things. And it doesn't matter how difficult the topic is or how well researched the topic is. If something is presented at some point in that debate that one person is holding someone to an argument that they are presenting to not have made, that's going to play a part in them losing points. And that's kind of what happened. Now, Brendan,
No, I understand that. I'm not questioning that part at all, Angel. I'm not questioning that.
He's just saying, like, is there? We know the answer to it. You know the answer to this, right, Ingame? The answer is no. Just by the way, but he's just saying, like, is there ever taken into account like how difficult certain topics are, and extra? I don't even want to say extra points, but like certain things taken into account when the scoring is being done.
And Angel, you brought it up. There's no, like you said, there's no code to break, because I mean that's what competitors do. Oh, this guy got an 8. Let me go see how he got an 8. What
right.
steps he took? Yeah. So that's what, as a debater, that's what we look for. Okay, what am I missing here?
Right. And you know, maybe people haven't heard this before, but that's a huge mistake. And I try to say it all the time, not to get caught up in what's happening with the scores. We tell you what the format is. But it's the format is very surface level, it's very high level. It's no way to go in detail because you have, again, different judges, different sets of debaters. The only thing that I can maybe speak on as far as topic goes is the depth of the research and then how it's challenged by the opponent. Like, we can't really pinpoint what the outcome is going to be. Like, even if I, you know, and again, I'm just talking. I'm not saying that you're going into the thing about the judges. That was just an extra point that I was making. But let's use the basketball reference. Even with statistics, do you recall they were challenging each other's stats? They were calling each other's stats lies and wrong.
It's different.
Sorry.
I ain't gonna lie though. Like, I'm sorry. Go ahead and finish. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I just feel like sports debates is different from certain debates. Like,
Well, they are different. I was just responding because Nyame used that as like a contrast to something that's, you know, not statistic based, depending on how you look at it. So that's what I'm saying is even something that one person may see as an ironclad stat could be challenged. You have somebody say, well, you only showed stats over 2 years. What about the 14-year career? These are not total stats, or you're not reading these stats properly. This is what I mean when I say that every debate is intricate. For me, it doesn't matter the difficulty of the topic. I'm just going to say that. And it's not being arrogant. It's just, if you do what you're supposed to do and send a pre-debate information, even outside of your pre-debate information, I'm probably going to be versed in or allow myself to be versed in what the topic is, so I can make sure that I at least understand the basics and the verbiage. But here's where everything changes. I don't know if everybody has grasped this yet. We will never be successful if we judge just based off of what we know. Because if I were to give my opinion on it, other than getting confused about what each person's stance is, you would be surprised on what my personal opinion is on what type of economy this is. So I don't bring that into it. I just get versed on what both debaters are talking about. Now I sit back and I'm a referee in a boxing match. And I just hope that it becomes more clear. Like, I was on mute for a while because I went back and listened to Anon's rebuttal. And I just hope that, when everybody listens to it again that disagrees, that they see what happened there. It wasn't an easy decision to make. It was a 1-point difference for me.
I'm not mad at you about like. I feel like I could have did a better job on the rebuttal. I feel like I could have did a better job in the debate. I always feel like that. So I'm frustrated to know that I could have got a perfect score from B and still lost tonight. That's it. That's just where my frustration comes. So,
Hey, what's good, everybody? But I gotta ask though. So was it your idea to put state sponsors in the title?
I see Domo.
yeah.
That
So,
was
but like I said, and I said this to him earlier. I didn't know that he was going to argue, and this is why I'm saying, like, so some of this is on me, right? But this is why I be trying to ask cats trying to get certain clarity about what the topic is, right? So if I would have known his thought process is from a from a regulation and a taxation perspective, because there are two different prevailing arguments to this right now. So if I would have known that was going to be his joint, I just wouldn't have took the debate. That's all.
yeah, but that's what I'm saying though. If y'all would have just kept it at state capitalism, your entire your argument is
Then I win. Right.
tailored towards that.
Right.
And this
But
is the
once
thing. And this is the
but
thing though,
once I
because like
get his
watching it.
premise though, but once I get his premise though, Damo, like I can't pull up and argue the same thing.
Well, but that's what I'm saying though. I'm saying because when he said that he was willing to just rock with state capitalism is state-controlled capitalism.
Right.
I agree.
So all of the control arguments are spot on. As soon as sponsored gets put in there, that's a whole nother. Because I had to ask because I didn't know that. Because I had to watching the debate. I'm like, is there a difference between state sponsored and state controlled? And then once I saw that those were two different concepts, it was like,
look, I agree with you. Like, there's no pushback. Like, but what? Like, I'm gonna pull up and argue the same thing all night. Like, I did the best I could to try to cause a big enough gap. You know what I'm saying? And I just didn't get it done. That's all. So, but yeah, no, I agree with you.
Isn't state control? Isn't state controlled capitalism socialism?
No, not necessarily. No, it's not.
Why are you saying no?
Not at all.
Why are you saying no?
Because it's not. It's like socialism and state-controlled capitalism are two different things.
No, they're not two different things.
They are two different things.
They're
You
not
don't
two
have
different
to
things.
because here's the thing. Wait, like the capitalism doesn't speak to engaging in commerce. It speaks to the ideology behind the purpose and the practice of the state controlling it. So it's like it's state control, like the socialism is the ideology, right? Capitalism is the ideology. So it's like, what is the state controlled capitalism? You can have a state controlled capitalism and it not be socialist. Like it could be it's straight profit. The government trying to make bread.
And now it depends on what their goal is with that bread too, right? Like, are they trying to use it to whatever? But yeah, like you said, the whole goal then is for them to make profit, right?
I get why you would say state control, like that it's the same thing, but it's like, nah, even though they can state control capitalism and socialism can intersect, it's not, they're not synonymous.
See, to me, that's the neoliberal world confusing what an economy is. If the state is controlling and you still got these oligarchs, you still got this rich, powerful group of people, that's just capitalism. That's just pure capitalism. Socialism is something.
No, I agree.
Right. Socialism is where the people get together and say, look, we don't want nobody controlling the means of production. We will control the means of production. That's what the difference is supposed to be. I think the lines are getting so blurry with all these definitions that
not really though. Neoliberalism is clearly distinct from socialism. Like neoliberalism is neoliberalism attempts to use capitalism to achieve the goals of socialism. Like that's the kind of catch-22. That's how they get you. It's like we're going to make the world better through market principles. Which is like that's a setup. That's a dummy mission.
Right. But they use heavy government to kind of back them up, and that's where they mess up.
Not necessarily. Like they use government to loosen restrictions on what corporations can do. Like they be like, if corporations have more freedom, the more good they can do, would be the neoliberal argument.
Right. But then they would say, oh, okay, it's creating all this poverty, so we're going to have these programs to help people with the poverty that's being created. As opposed,
well, it would. I mean, that's more so where you start to intersect in the socialism, because the neoliberalism would say we should have we should have privately funded organizations that carry out these things, not necessarily the government, or even government contracts with private organizations in order to accomplish whatever the goal is. It's more about using the market as a way to improve conditions, as a way to push social beliefs through capitalism. So it's like that they still distinctly different. I mean, that's why it's like most people make the argument the economy is mixed. Like we have social safety nets, but we also have a pretty open free market.
I just have a question, Domo. Did you hear the debate from the beginning?
I did.
Where did it, and this is me just assuming based off of the comment that you made, where did it become clear to you that it was a difference as far as sponsored coming in there? Did you see that from the open when Anon framed what his opponent needed to prove, or did you start to see it later on?
I started to see it later on. I think it was after. It may have been right before Lucky rebuttal. No. Yeah, I think it was like after the premises. After the premises.
No, you saw it after the rebuttal. That's when you and Blue. You saw it after the rebuttal. I saw y'all in the chat. Y'all was like Anon left it open for him because it was when he was going to the rapid fire.
Well, not well, but I think like right before that, like I was like, it was around that time, like in the premises early rebuttal part, where I was kind of like, well, I looked at states, like I was like, oh, they're clearly trying to make a distinction, right? Like like Lucky it wasn't clear that he was trying to make a distinction, but there was a distinction that was there because he started mentioning authoritarianism and that type of stuff. And I'm like, and it made me think, like, is state sponsored and state controlled two different things? And so I look it up while I'm watching the debate, and I'm like, oh shit, these are two. No, this was right before the rebuttal was when this happened for me. Because I was like, if Lucky, no, actually, you might be right. It was the end of the rebuttals because I was like, if Lucky go into the cross
I
X,
know. I was watching.
yeah, I was like, if Lucky go into the cross X and he able to make it, and he able to draw a distinction between state control capitalism and state sponsored capitalism, it could. I was like, that's a problem for Anon.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was like the first question he asked. So I was like, shit, let me shut up. I mean, even though I still think like at that, he still
he would have did it. He would have did it. That was his argument. Yeah, that was his argument the whole time.
Yeah, that's what I was.
But I knew what his argument was when I got his premise.
It made me a little
like so. Here's
but this is where hold on real quick because this is where he Lucky himself wasn't 100% clear on how he was defining it because he was using rhetoric associated with control, like means of production and those types of things, and even the definition that he read in the I don't know, they may have been a cross X when he had read a definition out loud. It literally was talking about state control. So I'm like, he read the wrong definition to make the point he was trying to make because he's trying to say that state sponsor isn't state control.
And so that's what I was trying to understand too. Like judging is the judging, but like, what do I got to do to get a knockout at that point? Like, I took his definition and flipped it on him.
And that's like where I surmise.
And I took over his first round.
I don't think you did that.
And based on his
and
argument,
I took over his joint. I had him answering questions.
Right. And based on Lucky's argument, you can surmise that he's meaning control. Right. Based on what he's saying, especially with the deep state piece. I didn't mention that in my notes. Right. This whole I
even addressed that. Like that.
Yeah. So
yeah,
the entire pieces of that, that imply it can surmise that he means control. Right. So
that's not what his premise said. If you look at Lucky's premise, and when I say premise, his PowerPoint, he did not talk about he did not talk about total control. He talked about a partnership. He talked about the government doing things behind the scenes for their best interests. That's what he talked about. And I though that definition in the rapid fire did cause him a point, he still came back and said, that's not my argument. That is a mechanism of it, but that's not my argument. So how do you say that that's a knockout? That's the part that I'm not sure about.
Because he shouldn't have read it.
Yeah, he shouldn't have read it. Reading it, he only got in his rapid fire, he got an 8 from me in his rapid fire. He lost points, and that was one of the things I put it in my notes. But if that was a mistake for him to do that. But it still doesn't change the fact that he was saying that was not what his argument was. And I just, we'll see. I just listened to your rebuttal again. Maybe, once you listen to it again, I'm going to definitely listen to the whole debate again.
I'm not mad at you about the rebuttal. Like I ain't saying nothing about my rebuttal.
I'm not saying you're mad. I just want to make sure that we're clear,
I'm mad. I just ain't mad about the rebuttal score.
Let me say this, because you were just breaking up. Remember in that one round where I think it was your rapid fire, when Lucky said he couldn't hear you and Psycho had to give you time back, your mic was messing up. It wasn't just him. I could not hear you. Like, you cut out a few times throughout the debate. So it wasn't just Lucky saying that.
Yeah, it was a little bit of Borgen, yeah.
Yeah, just a heads up of that. That's all.
I mean, I had mic problems today. Like, I'm on the move, I'm on the road. It is what it is. I made it work.
Hey, I did want to answer Inyame's question, because that was a good question. He asked about the is there a difference in the complexity level of the argument? And I think Angel, she kind of addressed this perfectly, because when you think about it, right, your opponent is arguing the same level of complexity, and we're judging the same level of complexity. So in the end of the day, I think it ends up being sort of a wash, right? because we're all sort of dealing with the same topic at hand. So it's, you won't necessarily, see a discrepancy between a highly complex argument versus something lesser. So
Yeah, I thought that's how I answered it, but in
Yeah.
Yame, you were saying that it wasn't about judging, so that's what threw me off. I felt like I had to answer it by saying
When he's
how the
saying,
judging comes out in it.
because he's not saying like it's a thing on y'all. He's basically saying, is there a sympathy point or two that you get when you enter into these type of hard debates? That's basically what he's saying. I'm just paraphrasing.
You said it. He's saying, is there a point or two, meaning judges' points?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
No,
that is
like,
about
do
us.
you?
That's why I answered it that
No,
way. Like,
no,
it's
I
not
don't.
going
I
to
don't
change.
mean.
I guess the response
I
is
don't
no.
mean.
There's no sympathy points.
Yeah, that's what I told, and that's what I told him. Like, you're not
because,
gonna
because
get.
those are topics
Yeah,
the debaters
I told
agreed
him that.
upon, right? So
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was saying, but
like,
I thought he was saying that it wasn't really about judging. So that's what threw me off. I wanted to make sure I was answering it properly, because if it's simply just about the type of debate that's picked, it's exactly what Brendan just said. It's a wash, because he referenced stats and sports debates, and it's like, stats in a sports debate is viewed the same as the information that you gave in tonight's debate. You still come in with sources to prove it, but then you also going to have an opponent that's going to challenge it and say those sources are wrong, because look at my sources. Your stats are wrong. Look at what I got. You didn't do the stats right. You didn't include this. So it's so intricate. It doesn't really matter the level of quote unquote difficulty of the topic.
Yeah, for the example, it's like, it's not our fault that you guys decided to debate quantum physics. This is your topic, not mine. It's a very difficult thing to parse out. So yeah, it's
so then, so the way the debaters start to look at it then is there's no reason to take the hard debate.
Nah, I wouldn't
Why
say
would that be?
that. I wouldn't say that.
Oh,
I mean, I'm gonna be honest.
Because y'all done took some real monsters this season.
Yeah, bro. But in
Is
this
everybody
instance, hold
getting
on.
thrown off by the V-Note and Taz debate? That's what I'm feeling here.
I think that's where it's coming from, right?
Yeah, because Mo was impressed and gave high scores, and now everybody think that's like, you got to take each debate with a grain of salt. There's no code to crack. I keep saying it.
Oh, it's not. That's not it for me. No,
bro.
That's not it.
And at the same
I
time, like
I said the same
you
thing.
introduced, you made it. You made it harder by overcomplicating the topic. Like adding sponsor, like literally the single act of adding sponsor.
I didn't ask for no sympathy for it, right? I'm just saying, like, let's not play like niggas is taking like super complicated topics.
But that I don't understand. I don't get that. Like niggas take the debates. Ain't nobody whatever gets set up, whatever gets set up gets set up.
Like if we're not even going
because to be honest, bro, this wasn't a complicated debate though. This wasn't complicated. It is sponsored or not.
It wasn't supposed to be, because technically it was, once you said the way that it was initially set up and the direction it was looking like it was going was, once you showed who controls the means of production, the debate was over. And it just turned out to me that there was something a little bit more slippery to the sponsorship, and that kind of took that away. Because otherwise,
it didn't take it away. It's always there. You just didn't see it until the rebuttal. That's the thing.
And that's what I'm saying. It should have never been added, because you did a better job of framing it. That's why niggas didn't realize it until the rebuttal. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. Yeah. Like once it's there, it's there.
I saw it when I got his. I saw it when I got his premise. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
no, but I think it's a lot of truth. If you go back and listen to the post debate thing that I did, I literally I co-signed what Domo just said. It was evident. I was nervous. I was like, what's happening here from the open? But it became clear midway through the rebuttal. And the other thing that I said was, if Sponsored wasn't in there. Anon wins. That's what threw it all off.
Easy.
So yes, I have to work 16. I got to get up in 2 hours. I really love this, but it makes me a nervous wreck. So does anybody have any questions before I get down? I just want to make sure everybody's good. All right. Well, have a good night, everybody.
Thanks, Angel.
Right. Yeah, bro.
Yeah, I think that was the issue though.
It's because because niggas was in the chat like after the premise, niggas was looking at Blue like, Blue, you bugging. You don't know what you're talking about. This nigga like I don't see it. I don't see nothing. And then
that shit came.
I mean, but that's why you have in policy debate, you have low point wins.
Yeah.
You have you get higher, you get more speaker points. Like you had a better performance. Just the argument fell short.
Because at first I was wondering, and because Q asked, he was like, I don't think he understand. He was saying Lucky, he didn't think Lucky understood that shit. And I'm like, nah, I think this is exactly what the fuck bro trying to do.
This is wheelhouse. Right? I was like, you might have fell in this wheelhouse. I don't know.
Hold on, this is where I disagree. This nigga Lucky himself said, Anon said put sponsored in here. He told Lucky said I wanted to go with state control.
Yeah, because like I said, I didn't know.
He tried to say, that ain't
wait, come out. No, that's not true. No, that's not true. He didn't want to go state controlled. He wanted to go state capitalistic, which would be state controlled. I give you that, but he didn't want to put the word controlled in there at all. Now, yes, I did put the word sponsored in there, but like I said, that's because I didn't know what his overall viewpoint was. If I'm knowing that he's coming in arguing regulation, then I wouldn't put sponsored in. Like
once you started the premise,
but he only arguing regulation because because what he saw is when he looked sponsored up. He was like, oh, this is it. But listen to what I'm talking about once y'all decided on what the topic was. Because he would have just got up there and said the government controls the means of production. That's what he would have got up there and said.
Right, which is socialism. Period.
Doesn't control
exactly.
Yeah, because he did say either way.
It wasn't a complicated debate.
Yeah, which could have easily been.
You can't say either way.
Rebutted. Right, that could have easily been rebutted. Yeah.
And that's what it sounded like he was saying. And that's why I was like, in the beginning, it was sounding like you was just, I'm like, ooh.
It's a lot of gray area.
We already know who controls the means of production. I'm like, oh, you know what they doing.
I was with you on that. I was with that, Blue. I was with Anon on that. I'm thinking like, what the fuck is Lucky talking about? You know, but like I say, it was very informative because I did see some things that I didn't think about, and he did throw the curveball well, I guess it wasn't a curveball because you say you saw it in the premise, Anon, but at that point you was
but once you get the premise, you too late. You already
saved that nigga. Anon saved that nigga. He saved you.
Once you get the premise, you can't do nothing.
Premise,
like once you get the premise, so you already so it's just like at that point you double down and you just gotta, at least for me, you know what I'm saying? Everybody else probably. I'm just gonna double down.
You gotta fight. You made the argument. You know what I'm saying? Like you made the argument. You did, because like I was convinced at first. But then it comes after that rebuttal, nigga. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah. Between Lucky and a couple people in the chat, I'm just towards the end. I'm like, oh fuck. Like Blue said, I'm like, man, goddamn, I see where he got him at now. Because I'm thinking it was a no-brainer at first. Like, how the fuck? I'm like, even with the regulation, I'm like, corporations don't give a fuck about regulations. They pay the fine and tell the government to go fuck themselves. You know what I'm saying? So You know, that regulation shit didn't, but it was just the sponsor. This that one little key instead of
Yeah, the
control.
word sponsor.
Yeah, that word sponsor.
Yeah, like in the rebuttal, that's when I said, man, Lucky got a chance with that word sponsor.
Yeah, because
But see, where Lucky was playing dangerous was he spent so much time.
Who gives a fuck about, you know, what corporations? We just seen
Yeah.
plenty of corporations pay them fines and keep dumping, keep on monopolizing, keep on doing anything the fuck they want to do. They don't give a fuck about what the government talking about. They pay them
See,
fines.
it made it so difficult to follow the beginning of Lucky because he's showing the process, like how that shit is functioning.
Yeah.
And Anon shit is a lot easier to follow in the beginning because he just strictly, you know what I mean? But it's like he's showing some of the function, but he really giving you the definition and then the stats, and then boom, showing and then telling you
Yeah,
how
he
it
was
functions.
laying down the economic roadmap.
Yeah.
Really
But
showing.
So
think
it was
think
tough.
about this, Blue. Within the function, there's an applied level of control that's within
Right.
that. Right?
And that's
Yeah,
what Lucky,
yeah.
that's what I kept seeing from Lucky.
And
That's what he
again,
was
this is
trying to
where
do.
right he was trying to do it,
Yep.
but he
But I
wasn't
swear to
creating.
God,
For me, he wasn't creating enough
I
space
thought I made that argument. I thought I made that
keep
fucking argument.
right
Really.
because
I don't give a fuck what nobody said.
people could keep pulling out that one word sponsored,
Yeah.
right? But that's not it, right? The debate is state-sponsored capitalism, right? State-sponsored capitalism. Within that definition, there's completely a level of control that's implied within that, right? With
There's
all
so
the
much
definitions,
room.
within all the definitions, if you take a
There's
look,
so much room, Brandon.
and there's three definitions or three levels that we talked about tonight. There's state controlled, right? State controlled is a bit different, right? That's on the extreme side, right? That's when you're talking about like China. Then there's state capitalism and then state sponsored. State capitalism and state sponsored, those are interchangeable words, right? And not one time.
No, they actually different.
No, in a lot of instances, those words can be used
in academia.
interchangeably.
They are right, but that's why I'm telling you right now. They're fighting over definitions right now in academia.
Highly
right, that's the problem.
Right, yeah, this is highly debated. So yeah.
I'll say
but
so
to me,
it's very different depending on who making the argument.
Yeah, I think they're just trying to hide it because that free market shit don't work.
Right.
And they know it don't work.
And as well, you have to look at the size and scope of it, right? Like for instance, to Anon's argument, he said that, you know, his argument was look at the size and scope of this government involvement in the overall economy, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's we all know that there are the instances we see the government involved with economic activity, but the overwhelming majority of what we see in this enormous, $30 trillion? How big did you describe this, Anon? In terms of the annual economy of the United States, which you said, how big was it? Was it 30 or 3?
Upwards 30, upwards of 30 trillion.
30 trillion. You know, when you take a look at the overall scope and size, right? It was minuscule.
Yeah, so to say that 7 billion, right?
Right.
That's the point.
You
right.
Can't,
say
you
that
can't
7 billion is right.
With the minority doesn't define the majority of the activity. So and that's for me, that's why I scored the debate the way I did.
Did you actually say that the corporations run the fucking government and it's not the other way around? Did you say that?
Yes, that's why I brought up the lobbyists. This is my argument. This is literally like that shit, bro.
That's a tough one though. That's a tough one, ain't it? Because
so what he tries to
the senators got a great deal of power. The senators have a great deal of power.
Yeah, they only got the power that the corporation that funded their campaign give them. And
that's the point.
Yeah,
you're getting billions. You're getting billions of dollars, right? But regardless, right? The issue. Shout out to the brother, right? Just the issue is like, when you get that premise, you know what I'm saying? Like you know, you just gotta frame it a certain way.
Yeah.
No, I did articulate.
It's a lot of gray area because in fact, the U.S. economy is a mixed economy, right? That's a known fact.
Right.
So
That was another tough part.
where do you argue the gray area? So
The control.
for me, it's like So this was all about arguing
But that's
in
the
gray
gray.
area
Like that's
the
why you walk
details.
them.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
you gotta walk them into that gray. Yes, you gotta walk them into the gray. And then
that's the difficult.
You know.
When I was saying the difficulty, I was saying we're not micro or macro economists with PhDs that can argue that point in 10 minutes, and the rebuttal is difficult. It's really, really difficult.
Right.
But like y'all say, we take these
and it
debates.
don't matter how much you study. Yeah, but it don't matter how much.
But you didn't even have that.
There's
You
no.
don't even need a bachelor's degree to answer the question. Really, the question that Lucky really wanted, the debate he really wanted to have, would have hurt him, and like it would have hurt him. Because that's what I'm saying. This is not a like this is very general. You know what I'm saying? The economics conversation. It's not complicated at all. Either it's this type of system or it's this type of system. And when these niggas was first arguing about it, it sounded as if Lucky believes that we have state capitalism, state controlled capitalism. That's what I thought going into the debate. That's what I thought.
But I hear PhDs argue what type of economy. What type of economy?
That's what I thought too. Until I got that nigga premise.
They do argue about that.
That's what I thought too. Until I got that
Whether
premise.
or not,
until I got that premise,
whether or not,
I realized that that's not what he was.
The relationship with capitalism and the U.S. government is established. Whether or not to what degrees people agree with that relationship is another thing. But what that relationship looks like is established. We have a free market. Like corporations have more control. And we have a government, and again, this is Reagan's doing. I mean, this is Nixon and Reagan, but more so, Reagan is the one who got everybody talking about the job creators and all that shit, positioning them like that in society.
And crooked Nancy Pelosi.
Okay, yeah, the corporate Democrats they fucking suck too. Okay.
You know, I got
so it's like that.
You know they all complicit though. We're gonna lay.
Oh yeah, they all complicit.
But that's what those free market principles. It's like that shit. Like the corporations are getting more rights in the long run. Really. Once you get Citizens United and like constitutionally, corporations have access to rights like free speech. Yeah, that's not the government has less control over corporations.
Oh man, yeah, that corporate political control angle that would have been a really powerful piece. I don't think that was ever mentioned during the debate. So.
Yeah, and that's what people call an oligarchy. That's been going on way before Reagan.
Yeah. But what about the control? Because he kept describing control. Now to me, there's different levels of control. To me, it was like on the level. So Anon is pushing for more of the day-to-day how business functions, and it's like Lucky is more so pushing like this. The business has the money to even be a business because of the government, and then the contracts is getting it because of the government.
Well, that's not true though, and that's why I showed all those statistics. That's the issue that I got. Like, man, how the hell they getting the money and you got 3 or 4 businesses that are getting money from the government. The rest of the economy is working on its own merit. That's why I showed that 85% of the damn money, 85% of the money that's coming in is coming from the private sector. Has nothing to do with government funding.
Okay, how do you explain the Federal Reserve?
The Federal Reserve didn't come up, but in terms of in what way? Tell me what role the Federal Reserve plays in this debate. That's why he didn't bring it up that much. Because he went and studied and found out that it's an independent company that deals with other banks. So how does it actually
the Federal Reserve set interest rates?
Yeah, but
Yeah,
like
that's just a
Opportunity
monetary
Corporation,
policy,
then
though. That's
propagate.
that's a
Yeah,
hard
like that.
one
Come
to
on now.
correlate.
Wait, hold on. I
Saying
didn't hear anybody.
monetary
Yeah, that
like
doesn't.
monetary policy is not doesn't hamper or doesn't limit or subvert like economic practices at all. Like niggas just it's just how do you take advantage of it when it shifts, when it changes for whatever reason. But it's
How
like
you
it
move
doesn't
on
it don't
things.
stop
Right.
nothing. It don't stop nothing from moving though. So it's like, yeah, the interest rate, they just watching it to feel like, okay, well, how we moving? It's going up, it's going down.
Right, but
And
by that interest rate, they can have some control of inflation, and inflation plays a big role in the American economy.
right, that still wouldn't be control over capitalism though. That would be just the government's influence and the role the government plays in regulating and refereeing the economy. But that's just the role of the referee. Like the field is still open. They out there getting it in. The
Right.
referee's
It
just
doesn't.
saying you just create the boundaries.
Yeah, it doesn't impact the structure. I think this was a structural argument, right? What's the
And
structure
that's
of
what
the
I
economy?
made it. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It was a good argument. I tell you, it was a good debate. And again, this is why this is an ongoing debate now, because there's so many factors, so many elements to it. So, you know, of course, we weren't going to solve it. If we can solve it, we need to start a think tank, right?
right.
It wasn't going to get
It's
solved
on a
tonight.
different level.
But we got to remember though, the debate was more about a description or how would you characterize something. It wasn't even really asking for a solution. It was just like, what is this? How would you? What is a correct characterization, or is this characterization a valid characterization of this current relationship? Like that question is just more associated. Are we accurately labeling what it is that we think this shit is?
Yeah.
So I will say this.
And it's
He took
argued. It's argued, right? Yeah.
but I will say this. He took the proper angle, right? Like that's the we could literally we could argue right now that this is a state-sponsored capitalistic economy, especially when we look at what Trump is doing, right? So, like I said, when I got the premise, I knew it was up, right? So it just is what it is.
Yeah, that's wild. Well, I'm gonna kick Blue ass on Easter.
That's crazy.
I'm gonna have to show y'all next time again.
That's on Easter? I ain't even
I'm
realize.
about to fuck this nigga up on the day of our Lord. Rose from the grave.
It's a wrap.
I'm about to do this nigga bad, boy.
I'm gonna go and set my premise, man.
And this nigga challenged me on this shit too. Like, yeah, you trying to get some get back to your man. And the crazy thing about it is I actually lost that debate. So you just giving me a chance and I'm
What is
getting this
y'all
my
doing?
get back. The cultural cohesion solve white supremacy.
And who's the family?
Me, nigga, I'm the affirmative. Mr. Cultural Cohesion.
Mm.
It's me. I'm getting my get back. Appreciate
When
it,
is
brother.
that one? When is that debate?
Well, it's a
Sunday.
week from next Sunday.
Oh, next Sunday.
Yeah.
Super Bowl Sunday, might as well say.
Nah, nigga,
It's the
Easter
one.
Sunday, Resurrection Sunday, nigga.
Yeah.
It's the
I'm
one,
celebrating Jesus being resurrected on the third day. Did y'all catch that? Did y'all catch the third day? When you count Friday to Sunday? Friday to Sunday? Is that 3 days? Who wants that debate? Who wants that debate? Nobody wants that debate?
Madonna, you gonna make Madonna pop up out of nowhere. He ended up winning.
Savio been at? I ain't seen Savio.
He's supposed to have a fight coming up. You might not see him until that shit's way over.
That's who would have debated you on that shit.
Man, hell nah, that nigga ain't debated shit. You on the panel.
Madonna ain't gonna debate shit on no damn. if it ain't on the panel either.
Yeah. I think he just line went up with chocolate, man. All it took was some gender war shit.
Oh, did he actually? Also, now he got time.
Yeah, it's it's a woman. It can make some time to kick a woman around.
He like his daddy Donald Trump. He only beat up on women.
That's it. That's it.
He found a way.
Oh, so he jumped back in. So he's back in now for a one-off or something.
Probably on some one-off shit. Yeah. But he a good body bag. He a good body. I would have took it to. He a good body bag. Easy to knock down.
I guess the question is, if it's a one-off, does it contribute to Chocolate's overall scores, or is it just okay? He's just a one-off outside of the.
Well, no. Traditionally, I don't know if that's the rule still, but in the past,
they both in the league, so I guess it will go to the score, right?
A one-off in the past has been.
It's a benefit Chocolate.
Oh yeah, not even
but I don't know.
It's Madonna.
Yeah, because if Madonna doesn't have his full 5, there's no sweat off her, right? It's just another debate under her for her to
her
5.
resume.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Shit, I still need one more. Shit. But yeah, next week I'm fucking blew up.
That's a wrap. That's a wrap, for real. Schedule change too.
A little bit of shadow boxing.
Yeah, buddy.
That's what I'm saying. That's why you don't get
niggas gonna have to stop underestimating.
Blue shadow boxing when I heard you on the video.
Lucky is a more refined scheme.
Yeah, they're kind of similar too.
Yeah, he schemes potential.
Yeah, Lucky did a good job.
Lucky is scheme if he evolved like a fucking Pokemon.
Niggas just out of nowhere.
Lucky went live from Target parking lot. Yeah.
For real. First time I see Lucky, I was like, damn, he might be the new Future. We gotta recruit Lucky. I don't think he got no team. He's dark side. I don't even know.
No, that shit inspired me though.
Yeah.
I'm like, shit, I ain't having none of them hoes. You ain't gonna find none of them hoes.
Real.
But we ain't about to catch me slipping.
Man, I'm feeling crazy.
No,
I can't believe you have another cultural cohesion debate.
Niggas want that smoke. I gotta get that get back.
Yeah.
I gotta get that get back.
I gotta get Blue back on that love doctrine.
I gotta bring that back out. Yeah, I'm gonna have to bring that back out. I got to.
I'm gonna die on that.
Kick, but shit, Honey got up here and said all Rosa Parks did was sit down because she was tired. Like, yo, man. Yo, I gotta bring the civil rights back again. I don't know what's going on.
Well, you wasn't debating, Army? Yeah.
What's that?
You wasn't debating for the season?
Yeah, I'm debating.
You ain't had one yet, have you?
Yeah, I had 8-9. I lost to 8-9.
Oh yeah, y'all. Okay. That's the only win he had.
Are you close to scheduling your 5?
I got V-Note next.
What y'all doing? Oh yeah, is Trump.
If you anti-MAGA, you must be pro KKK.
That's actually a good topic. I mean, it's a catchy topic, but it's a good.
MAGA, you pro KKK.
Yeah.
Man, I like that, bro. Hey,
That's a window. That's a window breaker.
I be riding with you, bro. Every time I be riding with you.
All right, man. I'm talking about this nigga. This nigga Vino said, "Bucky."
Yeah, fire window.
Yeah, they be coming with that real shit.
When you in a cult,
he don't play, right?
When you in a cult, you come up with some false dichotomies.
It's funny
That
too.
MAGA
Nigga be
cult is
excited
real.
to see Vino next debate. Then you hear the title, you be like, God damn, man, what you doing?
That MAGA
I'll
cult
take
is
that one.
real.
I'll take that one.
Like, what?
That's wild.
We finna get fire ass debates though. I don't know if it's gonna get him in the play. We finna get fire ass debates. Lucky though, he got 2 back-to-back bets. That nigga might be up for rookie of the year.
Look is taking the Arturo Gotti approach, right? He's like, okay, I may not win a lot of them, but I'm gonna put on a hell of a show, right?
Man.
Oh yeah.
He just
There's man, that religious guy, I forget his name. Is he still in the league?
Oh, Courtney.
Courtney, yeah. Is he still in the league?
Yeah, I think we gotta. I think his work schedule wild, so I think you gotta tap in with Psycho to.
Yeah, I definitely want one with him. And
Hey,
it's
I'm gonna call it
Calvinism.
tonight, y'all. Y'all be easy.
All right,
Already
peace.
know it,
Peace, Dama.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the party. I know Psycho ready to go, man. I'm trying to get up out of here too. Peace and black power to you, brethren.
Yeah. Peace,
All right,
black
G.
power.
Right, I'm out of here as well.
All
right, peace, fellas.
Yeah, peace.
Hold it down. Good debate.
Yeah. Too. You don't got his contact, huh, Luke?
Courtney, nah. Yeah, you'll have to get up with Psycho.
Yeah.
Or actually, let me see. Let me see. Do I got your email? I might be able to get it. I forgot. I think he was the bar. So yeah, Honey might have his info. Let's see. Yeah, I think he bar. GA said, nah, I dropped the fucking link. Let's see. You got his if you got his info. Yeah, I'll send you his info.
Okay. All right, cool.
I got you. Oh, good.
Everybody left?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like it's a wrap.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we can get ready to shut this down. I can go ahead and get ready to get me some sleep. Like,
You already know. Appreciate it, guys. We'll do it again.
Y'all already know. Catch y'all next one, which will be Tuesday. All right. Appreciate everybody coming up. Shout out to everybody that hit the link and joined the panel. I appreciate all y'all. I'm about to get ready to get up out of here, get me some sleep, and I'll catch y'all on Monday for my man cave. But the next debate will be on Tuesday, right? KOT versus Akasha. Be on the lookout for that. I'll promote it some more tomorrow, but I got to get ready to go, family. I'll talk to y'all later. All right. Peace, black power. I'm out.